It's a very interesting concept because the things that we love about the NBA game is the things that's hurting the most when it comes to the kids. And I was telling Joe earlier, we had this conversation, how much I love Allen Iverson, but he's pretty much ruined the kids today because every kid believes that they have what Allen Iverson has and they want to emulate him in every way, and they forget about the things that's most important. I'm old school, just like Joe said, and I'm sure Walt and those other guys will attest to it. You know, we grew up learning the game from the inside out, which basically meant we started with the mechanics, and then we fine-tuned our mechanics, and then we got fancy with it. Kids today start out with the fancy side of it. They want to be able to dribble behind their back before they learn to dribble with their left hand. So it's kind of a different era, and everyone is playing so much faster now than when I was introduced to the game. And speed is something that's been brought on by some of the teams that are in the NBA right now, like the Golden State Warriors and some of those other teams that play really fast. Kids that are very athletic, that play fast, they're not really sure of how to play under control at this point because most of the times they're going faster than they need to. It's really good about what's happening in basketball now, but for what I think is the most important thing is I think we need to get back to the roots of it, and that's going to come from coaches that can break players down to a standpoint where they start them off with the basic mechanics and then work them through that process to get them up there. I know kids that can dunk that can't make a left-handed layup. So it's really interesting how, this whole thing has changed. It's the highlight to everything is what kids are wanting to do instead of learning to do it the right way.
You said a whole lot that I can't listen. There's no disputing it. Joe, he touched on some key parts. The pace of the game is the speed now. But from a coach and trainer standpoint, how difficult it is to work with a player to understand the fundamentals of the art of the game. It's showmanship. A lot of the kids feel that they need to get that showy type thing, but for the raw talent, the art of the game, the relationship between a coach and a trainer and the player, talk to us about the dynamics of that relationship.
Sure. Well, the dynamics of that relationship are pretty simple. One, the trainer, the coach has to have some expertise or some knowledge to transfer the skills to the player. But two, the player has to have the desire to want to learn. A lot of guys want to come out here and do behind-the-back dribbles and stuff, but, can they control the ball with their left hand? Can they, dribble with their eyes closed? Can they fundamentally shoot a jump shot? A lot of times with the flash, like Evan was saying, repetition is not sexy. Like doing something the right way 50 times to train your body, the muscle memory that it requires to do the shot the same way. It's not something that's glamorous, but it's something that all the best players do every single day. The best shooters, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, they're not they're making a minimum of 500 shots a day because that's just craft. And I just think, the love, as Elvin referred to, that's the most important thing because if the kids love the game, if they love to see their game improve, it's never considered work. It's just doing something you love to do.
Now, I know that you guys, coming through the ranks, the game, being professional basketball players, going to working with the NBA, either playing or working with the NBA franchises. A lot of young people see that. They see that's the ultimate goal, to go to the pro, to become a superstar, to become a celebrity. But I think it was, I believe, I think Nate said it's really, I'm sorry, it was Pops. Pops said the NBA is truly a lottery. A lot of folks start out but don't make it. And so what would you say as we close out this segment, as we talk to all the young people that are watching this, if it's the one thing that you can give them, a nugget, a carrot, to kind of say, hey, listen, it's great that this is the game you love, but you got to be disciplined, you got to be focused. What are the fundamentals that the young people have to really think about?
Well, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think the problem with a lot of kids today is they want the glory without the work. And I think some of these kids, they may have the desire, but they don't understand what it's going to take to get that desire into something that's a finished product. It's just like if you take a raw piece of coal and you work it for years, you're eventually going to turn that coal into diamond. That's the process they need to understand. It doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take some time to fine-tune your skills. I mean, I was growing up, I remember I spent days and night. I used to go to the basketball court by myself at nighttime at 10 o'clock and put a flashlight on the backboard because no one else was there, and there weren't no lights on there. So I took my dad's flashlight because he worked for housing projects, and I would shine it on the backboard, and I would spend an hour shooting left-handed layups only because I realized when I was playing that I couldn't use my left hand. And I had coaches back then that would say to me, here's what you need to work on. But I had the desire, and I was hungry to be good at what I want to do. So my hunger drove me to become better, but it took a long time. It took me 2 years before I felt comfortable making a left-handed layup. It's not going to happen overnight. And I think patience is something that kids need to understand. You know, Joe is right. The NBA is a lottery, and not everybody's going to make it there. But there are a lot of stops along the way where you can improve as a basketball player while you're trying to make that journey.
That's a word of wisdom right there. And Joe, what you say in terms of closing remark, as I said, I believe you had an affiliation with the Denver Nuggets. Talk to us a little bit about that as kids think they see these dollar signs and star. No, talk to us a little bit about it.
Well, just speaking from my personal experience, you know, like I was a school teacher in Baltimore City for 12 years, and the two things I loved the most, or I was terrible at coming up, were basketball and school. And it turned out where I was a school teacher and a basketball coach, so go figure. But beyond just the playing aspect, there's careers you can get through basketball. You could be a trainer, you could be an agent, you could be a coach, you could be in the front office, you could be a scout. There's 450 jobs in the NBA across the world. So, you know, to make that as a goal is a very difficult goal to attain, but just doing something that you love to do, and if the game just gives you something that nothing but enjoyment, that's great. If it takes you to college, that's great. If it turns into something that puts some money in your pocket, that's even better. But the love of the game, I just think it's something that's instilled in all of us, and it's just something that'll be there for the rest of our lives.
That is fantastic. You know, I got to tell you, when this is an alumni for me, Central High School. I watch when Shaquille O'Neal, he played on this court. He played when I was in Central High, when they brought the team in. I got to see him before he became a pro, and it was so interesting to see him go on to be this huge player. This is where you start. This is where you see the young talent. And with the teams that are playing and competing, there is a future. You know, I can't say center because I said the game is moving away from that, but, you know, maybe a LeBron James, a Michael Jordan, a Magic Johnson, a Nate Tiny Archibald, you know, Walt Frazier, you know, a Pops. I mean, there are some future, you know, players that we're looking at, and we don't realize these guys could be the next players, superstar players. And this is what's so exciting, to be part of that whole experience, that whole process. Guys, I want to thank you so much for being part of the program, being part of the marketplace. And when we talk about the marketplace, we not only talk about the geographical location of the market, but we're talking about the business of those industries. And we're taking a look, obviously. We've covered this event for the past 5 years. We're a proud sponsor, and we continue to be partners in the effort to be able to provide a platform to help facilitate the process to mold and shape these young people. This has been another edition of The Marketplace. I'm Anthony Weeks. Until next time, we'll talk soon.
Anthony, you did some good work, man.